Okay guys, so this is the iPhone XS Max. It's middle of 2020. How does this phone stack up? I mean, it's an Apple iPhone from 2018. The prices have come down on this device, and getting it now is definitely, I think, a better value than before because it's much cheaper and it still has that nice premium build to it. It still feels like $1,000 in your hand. It's just a couple years old. Now, I did the smaller XS Revisited the other day, and many were asking, yo Nick, what about the Max, bro? That one's also come down. I want to know about the big boy. Well, we're going to cover it here. Super thin for this size, I think. Also, it does have a nice grip on the sides. You're probably not going to drop this phone too often. In addition to that, flat display, I think 6.5 inches gives it a nice big display that doesn't really, have any accidental presses on the side. Now, I gotta say though, this phone right here, for the money, I think is pretty grippy here. I mean, you're getting a grippy feel for this premium body, and you're not gonna find a lot of phones that are, super premium that don't offer a lot of slip protection. I mean, them stainless steel sides, it didn't drop out of my hands too much, and you could see pocketability not great. It's a giant phone that's going to be in your pocket, so if you're looking for something a little bit more pocketable, you might want to steer clear of this one. But the overall density, the overall weight, the feel in the hand, a lot of people still have this phone and they probably don't even want to get rid of it at this point, and I wouldn't blame them. This phone is fantastic, and if you're looking for it secondhand now, it can be found almost 50% off its original price tag. So it really just depends on where you're looking. But the display on this thing, Super Retina display. Now, it does have reachability, so don't worry if you're like, that display is too big, I need some kind of one-handed mode. It has reachability there. Now, if you swipe through, you can see this is not 90 hertz, this is not 120 hertz, but what it is a display that gets plenty bright, 625 nits, and it's an OLED display. But what I really like about this display is it has 3D touch still. So if you like the faster pressing, shortcuts, this one definitely will help out. It does have dark mode as well, True Tone Night Shift. Now, one thing I really like about this is the dark mode. The reason why is because I like the dark mode on the OLED displays because the blacks are just really deep on the XS Max. So you do have a really good experience when using Apple's dark mode in this iOS 13. Now, I will say there's not a lot to really knock about this display. Even now in 2020, there's not much I can say that you're probably going to be disappointed with. I mean, videos look pretty good. You do have a notch up there, which is really big compared to, some little punch holes on some Samsung phones, or even no cutouts in things like a OnePlus 7T Pro, or even, smaller holes like in the OnePlus 8 Pro devices out there. So there's devices with way less, obtrusions on display, but this one is still a very good overall panel. It's very high quality, and you will get black bars and no obtrusions if you don't want to pinch in on your videos. So I do think the media watching experience here for XS Max is still quite good. Now, I will say text is also quite good as well. I mean, we're over 400 PPI, not over 500, we're right around 458, but still very smooth display. Again, not 90 hertz, but I gotta say, it's not gonna disappoint. And now when it comes to the software, 13.5 is really a COVID focused update, but iOS 13 has been refined, update after update. There's been plenty of updates. So at this point, getting the XS Max, it runs very well, very smooth. Battery life has held on pretty good in subsequent software updates, so I haven't had too much of a complaint there. Now, I will say, if you are coming from an older iPhone, it's going to be one of your first newer style devices. You will notice that it's just a little bit different to operate. You do have the gestures, but the polish of iOS here is just on board in 2020. I mean, you can do mostly everything on this XS Max that you would do on a lot of other devices, like, laptop, for example. It's got that power on this phone, but you're not going to be able to use laptop programs and stuff like that. What I'm trying to get at is the A12 Bionic in here is beast performance. That's where I'm trying to get at with the laptop comparison, but you would have to go ahead and really push this thing to the max to get this thing to lag up. It just doesn't do it. I mean, you can run iMovie, you can run LumaFusion, you can do 4K video on this thing. The most that happens is the display will dim when the phone gets too hot. I think it's a temperature thing, but no problems here whatsoever. Also, benchmarks are still higher than a lot of Android phones, and also this phone does have, there's a little little dirt on the phone right there, but this phone does have a really good gaming experience as well. Most games are ultra smooth, good graphics, great OLED display. Definitely have dual speakers for better audio performance in games. You won't have an issue there. Now also you can get this thing with a max storage of 512 gigs, so there's a lot of storage available for this phone as well. So when you're going to be downloading a lot of stuff and this can be your only device, you can get a ton of storage with it. Now the camera, a dual 12 megapixel camera, one is a standard wide, one is a telephoto. Now there's no night mode on this phone, but it does have smart HDR, and the camera bump is a little bit thick. I mean, it's probably sharp enough to cut some fruit or something like that, but at the same time, you know, this produces pretty good results here even in 2020. I mean, really the 11 Pro Max is a much better camera if you're really serious about your camera, but this one is really good as well. I mean, movies have been made on iPhone 8, iPhone 7 series before, so this is even better than those cameras. So it's not like just because a newer phone's out that this one is bad. You have portrait mode, square mode, panoramic, time-lapse, slow-mo, good video, and the front-facing camera is also quite acceptable here as well, with portrait mode photography on the front, HD 60 video on the front, and you could change the f-stops here as well. You can see right up there in that top right corner that came with an update after this phone came out, but really going between different f-stops gives you a little bit more fine-tuned control. And of course you do have different apps in the App Store to take even better advantage of this camera. So you are not going to be disappointed with this camera. Only if you're looking for the best camera on the market, you might be, but if you're not comparing it side by side, I think you're going to be very happy with the video performance and photos. So check out some of these samples. Okay guys, so here is some video with the XS Max at nighttime, and you can see pretty decent quality. I mean, we are under decent light, but if there's no light, you're not gonna see anything on pretty much any camera. Unless you have like night mode video, but I don't see that. We usually have night mode photos right now. When it comes to the audio performance, you are talking about stereo speakers here. Have a listen for yourself.
Gear and comfort in the hand. Come again? I mean, 5.8 inches with rounded edges, flat display. It doesn't get much more comfy than this. Maybe if you're waiting for the 5.4 inch iPhone, it will. But this is a comfortable to use phone, and I think even if you...
Now when it comes to the phone call quality for this device, mid 2020, this is not my first phone I'm gonna pick up. To be honest with you, I'm not picking this one up as my main phone for, you know, getting the best reception, the best LTE, because this phone has let me down a few times with LTE performance. I don't know if it's my carrier or what, probably not, because every time I use a Samsung phone, I'm not having that issue. So this is not the absolute best here, but it's acceptable. Now, when it comes to battery life on this phone, I have to state that this phone is not the best iPhone on battery life, but you know, it does have a pretty longevity battery life on here. So you're gonna get through most of the day. If you're a medium user, you can probably get through a day and a half with this one, but it's not the 2-day of the 11 Pro Max. But put the low power mode on and you should make it through most days on this phone. I still think you'll get a better battery life on the 10R, the 11 Pro Max, for example, but this is still a day phone, and I think that's enough for most people in middle of 2020. And the last thing I want to talk about is how much you're going to get back on the XS Max. Is it going to be worth the investment in terms of getting a return on this phone? And the answer to that question is probably, because the main drop that came on price on this phone has already ended, so it should hold on quite some time with a decent resale value depending on what you buy it for. And so that's it. The iPhone XS Max, my thoughts in mid 2020, it's still recommended, and it's recommended because it's still like 90% of what an iPhone 11 Pro Max is, sans the camera, sans the better battery life. And those things are important for a lot of people, but at this price point, might as well snag one up if you find a great deal, because this phone is still an excellent offering out there. Of course, it's not officially sold by Apple, but if you find a deal and you have an older phone, why not? You'll probably really enjoy this one. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well. I will catch you all in the next one, and peace.